Right. So with this talk, the question was like, what was your experience? Like, how did you, Brother Pháp Niệm, how did you start in this tradition? You know, what are some of your memories with Thầy? So this is him sharing. Just quickly asking, are you able to hear his voice through the microphone?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, then you will be able to hear my voice at the same time. Okay. I will lower his thing a tiny bit. So, okay. So back then, it was around 1992 or 93. So at that time, I really wanted to become monastic. So I really want to become monastic. So that's after high school and college. I really want to become monastic. I feel like if I cannot become a monastic, I cannot take it. So I'm looking for a teacher that's suitable for me. So it's quite difficult. So luckily, I read a book. It's called The Path of Transformation. That's teaching the from the four establishment of mindfulness, the sutra. I read it and I really like it. It feels so bright for me. It feels like it's so suitable for me. So I start practicing that. So in 1994, when I was really looking for a teacher, so I had a dream. I saw that Thầy was in my dream. I just met Thầy only once when he was meeting the young people. And after that, it's kind of disappeared. I don't think about it. Because I went to school. But that night, I dreamed and I saw Thầy. That he was giving a Dharma talk to thousands of people on the stage. So after his Dharma talk, I bowed to him and said, can I become a monastic? So in that dream, Thầy let me become monastic. And he asked me many questions. The last question was, can you let go of everything to become monastic now? I said yes. So then I went backstage and I followed him. So that's where the story ended, the dream ended. So I was looking, who is this teacher? Where is he from? So when I was looking, then I discovered that he was the Thai in Plum Village in France. So I bought a ticket to come to Plum Village to become monastic. So Thầy asked, how come you don't want to try it out a little bit, see if it's suitable or not, before it become for real? He said, no, I don't want to try. I want to be a real. So I came there, and around August 1st, I became a monastic. So my time as an aspirant was very short. Sorry, I think I missed one part. It's a July or something that he camped there, and then he became monastic very quickly after that. So during that time, after I become monastic, I had many chances to become Thai's attendants. So wherever Thai goes, I followed. So wherever he go, everywhere, I get a chance to go with him to serve him. So there are many beautiful memories. When I came to Plum Village, I had some kind of bugs or insect that bit me. So after I came a few times, The first time Thầy came just to visit me, Thầy asked, because Thầy knew, Sister Chân Không already told him about it. So Thầy asked, so you came here, are you able to sleep well, eat well? I said, I can eat well, but I cannot sleep well because there's some insect that bite me. I don't know where it is. Thầy said, oh, follow me. So Thầy took me to the hermitage, the sitting still, and he took out some kind of topical medications. I don't know what it is, so I put it on, and Thầy said, this will be okay. It will lessen the itching. So the two of us, we sit down and we drink tea, and Thầy asked me about how life is. So there's one memory I can never forget. After that, Thầy said, oh, I'm tired. Maybe last night Thầy couldn't sleep well. So Thầy lay down. His hermitage is very simple. It has a little mattress in the middle of the room, middle of the hermitage. So it's very simple. So Thầy lay down there. And I was very naive. I was 20 something, very innocent. But in a way, it's a kind of good thing. So I asked him, well, if you're tired, can I massage you, Thầy? And Thầy said, oh, you know how? Yes, I know a little bit. So Thầy said, why don't you try it? So I thought it was just like in lay life. So when I massage someone, then I would fly or would jump on top of them and sit on top of them. So I just came on him, jumped on him, and sat on him. And I did all those movements. I usually massage people. Whatever that people taught me to do massage. So I do all the chopping motion, chop, chop, chop. I chopped him for quite a while. And Thầy looked up and laughed at me. So Thầy said, I'm old, child. So I went down, and after that Thầy said, oh, why don't you sit on the hammock outside and let me rest a bit. So Sister Chân Không, a few days later, she said, oh my God, you have such a big, you're so brave. No one had ever climbed on top of Thầy and sat on him like that before. You are the first one, the only one. Oh my God, at that time I was so scared. So that's a memory that later on I told him about it. He remembered and he laughed. So that was my first time that I was presenting to him. It was a very unforgettable memory. It was both happy and also a bit scared. So there's so many other stories. Yeah. So then I would move this. Thank you. I would move this to the next part. It's around. Let's see. Just in a few more. Yeah. I would move it about 20 seconds forward. Okay. Then. Yeah. So here, Thầy, I think Thầy Pháp Live. Sorry, Pháp Thái. Oh, Pháp Thư. This is the interviewer. He's asking like, oh, what is Thầy like? Does he ask about, does he always give Dharma talks? So in daily life interacting with his students, does he always give Dharma talk too? So what is it like? I have to say that Thầy is a teacher that's very rare to have such a person. Thầy is famous and he teach many places, but he has such a big love, a big connection, close connection to his students, very close. Then we go to a Dharma talk, and Thầy came on and sitting on the stage already. And if there's a monk or a novice that came in late, and Thầy would look, it's the kind of look that it looks like a tiger is looking at you. His eyes is so sharp. It's so sharp that if you just look at Thầy, and our heart would just fall onto the floor. Because whoever comes in late, Thầy would scan and look around the whole Sangha, and he knows everyone. So it just that one look, and the next time you never want to be late again. But Thầy is sometimes he's come and hang out with his students. So he lives in a hermitage, and then he comes into the place where the brother lives. So he usually just go by himself. So sometimes we are sitting there and drinking tea, and then Thầy came. So there's one funny story. There was this venerable from Vietnam. He came over. He's so full of the Nikaya. He knows the Nikaya. So every time he comes in and hang out with us, he would share about the Nikaya, the collections. And he just share from one sutra to another sutra. So that we couldn't go and do anything else. So next time if we see that venerable comes by, we will all run away. But especially with Thầy, if he give a Dhamma talk, then he give Dhamma talk. But normally when he comes and hang out with his students, he would just be there to hang out. He would sit and he tell funny stories. And he asked a few of the brothers like about some of the tasks that he assigned to them. For example, if you after we went back to after a visit Google, and Thầy assigned them to work with the Google so they can keep up with their practice. So all the equipment that and the things that can help them to practice. So if Thầy see those brothers, he would ask how it's going, how things are, to continue that work. So we can continue to connect with Google, so we can continue to work with them. So Thầy would ask about such things. So if the brother hasn't done that, then Thầy would urge him. So Thầy is a master of follow-up. So whatever that he assigned to you, then sometimes he would come and see if he sees you, then he would ask about that task. If he assign you a task and he asked you a few times and this hasn't been any progress at all, then Thầy would withdraw that project and Thầy would assign that to another person. Because it's not that Thầy doesn't like the person, but whoever Thầy assigned the task to, they have to have a certain kind of energy and certain kind of interest inherent already to do that task. So if it's 5 or 7 times that Thầy ask about it, maybe after 2 weeks, and if there's no moves at all, then that means that person does not have enough interest to take on that task. So Thầy would withdraw the task. So if a person who has an interest in the task, then they would do it. And when Thầy sit with his students, he would talk about things so that he can water the seed of the bodhicitta in the monastics, in the monks. I don't know about the sister, but whenever we sit with the brothers, then Thầy would talk to us about our ideals. For example, if Thầy pay attention to something that's currently happening in society, then Thầy said, if you're a young person, what can you do right now in order to help with the situation right now? Especially, so after Thầy came back from many visits to Vietnam, he really paid attention to what's happening in Vietnam, because Thầy really loves Vietnam. Even though he traveled all over the world, but he's still very connected to Vietnam, and this is very easy to understand. Because Thầy was born and grew up in Vietnam, so that's where his place of a deep connection is. That's where. So that's why Thầy often pay attention and say, how can we help? How can we help the people there, especially the young people, to have a path of a spiritual life that's beautiful, that's peaceful and full of love. So after 3 visits to Vietnam, Thầy knew that maybe he won't come back to Vietnam. So Thầy said that maybe later on I might not go back to Vietnam. But you, my students, can you visit Vietnam for me? So each time I go to Asia, especially Thailand here, Thầy would say, maybe once in a while you can zip over to Vietnam. So you can plant the seeds of bodhicitta in Vietnam. So Thầy would talk about these things. Thầy won't talk about things like where's the Four Noble Truths or the Eightfold Path. Thầy usually will always try to encourage and to nourish our flame, our bodhicitta in the monastics. So these are all these stories. It's very interesting. Sometimes Thầy has many stories. For example, he sit in his hermitage and he would ask his attendant to help him buy all these things from the grocery stores. And he invited a few brother and sister come over so he can teach them how to cook, because he's a very good cook. There's one thing that Thầy really loves to make is to steam the tofu with the vegetables. And the way he steams it's very very good. So he would teach us. So it's not that we're doing anything, we're just standing around a table. And Thầy would say like this, how you cut this, and this is what goes in first, go in second. And once we put on the steamer, how long would we steam it for example. So after we steam that, then while we're waiting, Thầy would say, you can all wait here, and then Thầy would take all the bowls and all the plates, then Thầy would arrange everything. And the way he arranged it is very beautiful. It's kind of like how in the West we are setting the table. So after we finished eating, Thầy said, "Oh, you all can sit here. Let me go wash the dishes." And even if we ask to wash the dishes, he won't let us. he said, let me do it. So these stories, we never can forget them. It's just like a living Dharma, the way he teach. It's very beautiful. And the love between the teacher and the students is really built from these moments like this. So we let me get to the next page. So oh, can we pause for a quick minute while we changing the camera battery? So we might turn the camera off for a few seconds. Thank you. Okay, so we can have it to yeah. Is it move this over so I can't see. Okay. So now we would zoom to minutes 39. This story of around 39 minutes. So I would love to interpret everything, but we might not have enough time. So we good? Okay. Oh, so here is Brother Fab. He was talking about how if you're a novice, then Thầy would like just shower you with a lot of compliments and love. But if you're like an older disciples, a more senior disciples, then Thầy would be more stricter, kind of more like a tree. When it's young, you let it grow, and when it's really older, you kind of prune it more. So that's what he's talking about, the pruning or the way that Thầy would teach his older students. So he's asking if Thầy Pháp Niệm ever got pruned by Thầy yet. So, dear Sangha, Thầy is a great psychologist. There are some people, Thầy knows that when they a little bit sad, then Thầy know how to console them. It's like, oh, it's so sad, you know, you've been working so hard, but you get yelled at. So the person who was yelled at, they heard that and they felt such relief right away. Like Sister Tạ Nghiêm here. She was working all day and so tired. And other people said that, oh, you know, like other people said that you can't do it. But for me, the best I can do is just about what you can do too. I can't do any better than you. So if you hear things like that, it feels very nice, very warm. So other people, it's different. For the people who are the abbots or abbess. So this one story. Sometimes there's some brothers who got sick for so long, so they don't come out to participate in Sangha activities. They get sick for, they lay down for a few months. So no matter what we do, that brother didn't come out. So Thầy came in to visit, and Thầy brought medication. I think it's some herbal medications. And Thầy came, and it depends on what medical conditions, and Thầy would bring in the treatments, the medications, because Thai also knows a lot about medicines. So all this medication for what conditions. So Thầy went in, and that brother was under the blanket. So Thầy removed that blanket out, and he touched his forehead and take out the medication. So at that time, I was at that time I was Thai's attendance, and the brother who was sick, he was my younger brother. So I came and get the water, and Thai said, "Oh, let me." So he hold a cup, and I gave him and gave the medication, and Thai and helped him get up and said to that brother, "Oh, let's drink this medication." That brother was sick, but he did not want to take medication. So Thai personally brought the cup of water and the medication right to his mouth. Thai said, "Why don't you take the medications so that you can, that your illness will be over soon, because it's very tiring to lay down here. It's very tired for you. It's tiring for you and for the Sangha too." So that brother, he went up and he took the medications. So these are the things that Thai would do for his students. So one time, sometimes Thai was more strict in his teaching. For example, this one time, Thầy just taught us about the three things tam thường bất túc, so which means the three things that needs to be simple, not too luxurious. A little bit less is okay. So it's about simple living. So the next day, so Thầy lives in his hermitage. He has this tiny little TV, and sometimes he would watch the news on that. At that time, we didn't have internet yet. So one time, the next day, there was one brother, his name was Fabdo, and somehow he was discussing something with others, and they came and bought a really big TV. Maybe it's smaller than that TV over there, because they feel sad for Thai watching this little tiny TV, so they want to replace it. So whatever that you want to do for him, you would need to ask his opinion first. But here, they didn't ask him because they wanted it to be a surprise. Because that day was his continuation day. Everyone, all the students, all there gathering. And that brother, he was very buff, so he carried this big TV in. And I saw that TV and he said, "Take it away right away." Take it away. He said, "What did I just teach you yesterday? I taught you one thing and you did the opposite thing. I just taught you yesterday about simple living, and now you carry this expensive TV home." There's nothing like, there's no harmony in action. So at that time, Sister Chankam, she understood, so she's trying to beg Thầy, Thầy, we already bought the TV, you know, please let us. And and Thầy said, "Sister, don't talk like that." And he ordered that brother to carry the TV away. So everyone was so scared. So moments like that, Thai is not soft at all. So the things that is his philosophy, living philosophy, that is not suitable, it's not aligned. So the brother was a bit sad because before that there was a conference, a word conference, and they invite us to talk about Plum Village. And so he made a video clip to talk about Plum Village. So that brother asked the Sangha so he can take 3 weeks off so he can put all efforts into this video. So his aesthetics very exquisite. So that brother's his video was not to the satisfaction. So Thầy said, no, this is not good. The thing is that the music that he put into that video clip, he has the Chinese music in. And Thầy said, this whole meditation center, Plum Village, it has the roots in Vietnamese. Why are you putting this Chinese music in? So in the end, we did not use this video clip at all. So we couldn't represent Plum Village. So from these things, it's also about filming. So during his Dharma talk, and Thầy said, like, if you keep walking back and forth too much, then that would distract the Dharma talk. So Thầy said, stop, just sit down there. Be still, don't walk back and forth. And the brother was still walking back and forth. And Thầy said, sit still. So in the early days, Thầy, the way he taught was a lot more stronger. So he's not soft like all the abbots and abbots right now. So this one time, there's many things. So this one time, at that time I was at Deer Park. It was near the Christmas and New Year season. So the brother and sister often give presents to each other at the end of the year. So at that time, the brothers were very happy, very close in the way that we work together. So in the end, the brother, they gave the sister some of the gifts that were not very, I guess, is not very kind of up to standards, not quite as polite. So it might cause some feelings, so sad feelings. So the sister was sad. So they told Sangha in France that the brothers here gave some present that was not very nourishing. For example, so Thầy call over, the sister called. So I wasn't the one who bought that present, but I was the one who received a phone call about that. So Thầy said, I don't have students. I don't have such impolite students like that. But you lack the politeness, the courtesy. That I don't have such students. So after that, Thầy taught us all the brothers who create and make all those presents for the sister. They have to write a letter expressing their regret. 2 letters. 1 letter to the sister, 1 letter to Thầy. Oh my God, we were all scared. So this one brother, it's quite sad because he was able to read, but it's very hard for him to write. So to write 2 letters is a big torture for him. So it took him 2 weeks to write 2 letters, just little paragraph. So times like that, Thầy was very strict in his teaching. But with the younger monastics, he will not teach us like that. He has a different method. But with the older students, he's very strict and very strong. But in general, Thầy approach his students very light, very easy, with ease. So if he teach, he will never teach you or say something to you directly. If there's something, then he would invite you to come in to drink tea, and then he would teach you. After he listens, then he would teach. It's not that he would teach you about that thing anywhere. So he respects his students a lot in front of the public. So, thank you. The stories that Thầy taught us in the many ways that is very different for different students. So they would go into songs, and then I will skip over the song. It's about 8 minutes, and then we can come back to this part. Is the next part is quite funny. So the next part, the question is about what is Thầy like in his daily life. So some people, they were attendant for Thầy for a few days, and after a few days they got so scared, so they disappeared. They ran away. But to be an attendant for Thầy, I have to say, it's much easier than being attendant in the traditional temples, because Thầy is very easy. So one time, I remember that at that time there was a gathering of the monastics, and some also the venerable sisters also came. So Thầy invited everyone to this famous mountain, the Pyrenees. It's in the next to the border with Spain. Yeah. So we went up there. There was a lot of snow, and we did walking meditation. We have brown jackets on walking on the white snow. It's a very good contrast. So at this one point, we sat down to watch the snow and the mountains. And Thầy said, Thầy lay down and put his hand to the side. And Thầy asked everyone to lay down. So the sister, the elder sister, they feel a bit more reserved about laying down. But that's how Thầy, the way Thầy wanted the elder brothers and the venerables to come back to their childhood. So in the end, everyone lay down. All the venerables and the elder sisters, everyone lay down playfully on the snow. So at that time, Thầy instructed some of us to bring the syrup with us. So we came up there, and Thầy found a place that's very clean. Thầy said to the attendants, "Give that to me." And Thầy put the syrup on the snow, and Thầy get the spoons out. We already prepared ahead, so we had dozens of spoons. And Thầy would scoop the snow up, and Thầy said, "Elder sister, eat this." and Venerable, eat this. Everyone was like, how can we eat this? Thầy said, it's very delicious, eat it. So everyone come together and they all scoop it up. So all the elder sister, all the venerables, everyone was coming there and scooping and eating the snow. And all the novice, everyone. It was so fun and happy. So Thầy always created all these very lively moments. Everyone come home and talk all about it. In his life, Thầy is a person who's very good time management. The way he managed his time is very effective. I see that in Sangha we haven't had anyone who managed times quite like Thầy yet. In Vietnam, when his temple was very simple, so Thầy got the chills, the cold very severely inside him. And another thing is that he got some kind of fungal virus or bacteria inside him. So in his whole life, he has to live with this organism, some amoeba or some fungal infection. So his diet has to be a bit more careful. So sometimes, often the sister will cook for Thai because they cook really well. The brother can cook, but they're not as careful as the sisters. For example, especially the sister who come from all the traditional temples from Vietnam and Huế. So it's very delicious. So it's very suitable to his taste because they know what to cook. So one day there was no sister. So it was in the upper hamlet. There's one attendant. He cooked and Thầy ate. And he couldn't eat it. And Thầy said, let me cook for you. Let me cook. So Thầy went to the kitchen and he cooked by himself. But when Thầy got the chills, so usually before he goes to sleep, he would needs to have the coning massage. He used a cone with tiger balm to massage the back to remove the chills. So that's one the activity at night. Every night is that we have to use a coning for his back. I'm saying cone like the quarter, the cone that you use. The cone, yeah. So it's a hard surface that you can use to massage the back. So that's one my job as an attendant for Thai for many years, that I will massage him and cone him because his body often get tired. Usually, so besides translating the sutra, it usually is before the coning, or sometimes it's after between coning and then he goes to sleep. So he would sit at the table and translate. So when he doing the translation, he has the wooden fish, so he can invite and chant. So he will translate, and then he also keep the beat on the wooden fish. So that's why the chant was translated into Vietnamese, but the chanting, the rhythm is good. It's still good. Because Thầy translate in a way so that it will go into the beat of the rhythm. So whatever Thầy is teaching about, for example, it's about neurology or maybe spiritual life or Buddhist psychology. Then Thầy would ask people to buy him all these books. It's very thick. And Thầy would read. He reads a lot. So he sit on this table and he just read. And often he would rest around about 10:30 p.m. I'm not sure how he reads, but whenever he teaches, he remembers everything. It's even in like English or French. So Thầy would teach. Thầy would study all this very in details before he teach. And then bring in the sutra elements. So all the scientists who come, they can relate to that. Thầy has an orchid garden that he can take care. He takes care he take care of the orchids very carefully. So he would know like this orchid, what type it is, and how much water it would need, and what kind of fertilizer, when to do that, when to put fertilizer. So Thầy would know all about it. So when Thầy takes care of an orchid, then he would know all about that orchid and its personalities, what it wants, how it needs to be nourished, how it needs to be carried in or out. And Thầy often do walking meditation. If Thầy doesn't do walking meditation with the Sangha, then he would do walking meditation by himself. For example, in his hermitage, there's a line of bamboo, and there's a creek. So Thầy would come there, and there's a hammock that he would lay down. So in the fall, he would come there and lay in the hammock. And sometimes, so at the time of the year when we have to do when Thầy has to make the gatha for lamp transmission, then Thầy would go there, lay in the hammock, drink his tea, and compose the gatha. And sometimes Thầy wash his own clothes. Sometimes I wash for him if he's too busy. So if I try to get his clothes to go to wash them, then Thầy said, no, let me do it. Thầy said, I work a lot with words. I work a lot with words. So if I do this manual work, it's kind of, it balances it out. Balance my intellect. His life is very simple. Because, for example, if he goes in front of the public, he would wear this outer jacket that looks presentable. But underneath this jacket, there's all these very raggedy clothing. It's very old. It's already have holes, but Thầy still wear them. Because sometimes we want to replace, but Thầy won't let us. Thầy said, no, I can still wear them. So when the elder sister, they saw Thầy was like that. They saw his raggedy clothing and they were crying. They couldn't believe that Thầy can be so simple like that. So in his bedroom or his working room, so a lot of things are very old. For example, his bookcase. Long ago, he used all these wooden boards, and he would put them on top of block of what do you call it? Bricks. So we put them up like that. So we think that we have so more money. We want to replace that furniture, a new bookcase for him. We asked him, but he wouldn't let us. He said, outside you can make things look presentable, looks nice and neat, but here, this is this is the bookcase. So the table in his hermitage, there's this table where he write books. It's very shaky, where it if you touch it, it feels like it's gonna fall apart. But it was still able to stand. So I remember asking him so we can replace the table. And Thầy wouldn't let me. Then other brothers also came and asked because they want to replace the table. Thầy wouldn't let us. Thầy said, this table, we have a lot of affections with me. I wrote many books on this table, the books that you're reading right now. I wrote it on this table. I can still use it, so let me use it. So if it suddenly collapsed, then that's when we will think about it. Maybe now, until now, he still hasn't replaced that table. I've been gone there for a long while. So his way, I remember Sister Chân Công told me that the car that took Thầy so he can go and teach and do the charity work. So until the point where it's the car, we cannot use it anymore. It's almost like broke down. So we said, oh, why don't we replace the car? Thầy said, no, it's still, if we can still able to use it, then let's use it. So when we could not use it anymore in the end, we have to bring it to the car graveyard. So before he sent the car to the graveyard, he made a poem for the car to send it away, to say goodbye. So the way that Thầy used his furniture, he has a lot of love for them. So now we are different, aren't we? We use something for a few days and we might throw it away and buy something else new. So the way that our love with the objects, the things around us, it's not as much as back then. So if Thầy is busy, Thầy often comes and visits, and when he comes visit the hamlets, so beside walking meditation, Thầy follows the schedule, even though he's older. So in the morning, he does sitting meditation, at night meditation. And on the days when it's rainy and cold, and Thầy might do sitting meditation in his hermitage. So after finish dinner and working, then Thầy would sit in the hermitage and he will do sitting meditation. And then after that, we do the koning, and then Thầy would read books or translate something, and then Thầy would go to sleep. So in the morning, it depends. Thầy is strong. Sometimes it's not that 4 a.m. he wakes up. Sometimes 3 a.m. he would wake up. Or sometimes if he couldn't sleep, he would wake up at 6 a.m. So if you're attendant, so when Thầy wakes up, then Thầy would crack his door open a little bit, and then the attendant can come in. If Thầy hasn't cracked the door yet, then we won't come in. Thầy Some there are people who come and visit to interview Thầy. Thầy has a way that's very special. If they want to interview, Thầy won't let him. Thầy said, you have to practice first. Even if this is a very famous journalist, Thầy wants them to practice first. They practice 3 or 4 days before Thầy allows them to interview Thầy. So in the first day, they're very uncomfortable. Thầy said, let them do drinking tea and let them experience the miracle of life and do walking meditations. So after they practice, then what they write will be better. Or else if I just say something, they would just write down like a machine. It won't be as good. So this is one thing in accepting guests. So whoever come to that slot, is that time for receiving guests, then Thầy would receive guests. But if after that time, then he won't receive guests. So after lunch, then it's his sacred time. You cannot touch that time. Thầy would take naps. So every day. So during his the day of the memorial of his mom, or he would go back to his hermitage and make a pot of rice, rice gruel, and he presented a bowl of rice to his mom and to his teacher, and he bows 3 times. And then Thầy said, come out and eat the rice gruel. So if there's a new book that just got published and people brought it over, then Thầy would carry the whole stack of book, and Thầy would bring this whole stack of book onto the altar for his teachers. And Thầy would bow to that. And then Thầy would come and drink tea. Thầy asked me, do you know why I bow to the altar? Why would I do that? I said, I can guess, but I'm not exactly sure. So Thầy said, when I do it like that, so that way I am just a Dharma instrument. I'm a Dharma instrument of my teacher. That I am nothing. I don't have anything. I would do whatever that my teacher has told me, has taught me to do. So that's one way that Thầy was teaching us. So what we're able to do is not something that belongs to us. It's not something to create an ego for us, to become pride about it. It's something that our teacher has assigned, has given us to do. Okay. So it's 12:13. There's a couple more stories, but I think maybe I can just pause here so we can enjoy the sharing from Coach Châu as well. So it's been some really fun story, but I would stop my screen share so Coach Châu can do the sharing.
Wow, thank you, dear respected Thầy, dear Dharma friends and Sanghas, and especially what a wonderful sharing on Thầy Pháp Niệm that you translated for all of us. We are so lucky to listen to it. We heard so many wonderful teaching through Thầy Pháp Niệm sharing. And when Mai and I talked, I thought, she asked if anything I want to share about Thầy. You see in my background, that's Plum Village, Lower Hamlet. In 2017, I got lucky and spent a couple of days there with some friends. I guided a tour of 17 people. So through friends and went to Plum Village, and that day was a lazy day, and I got to just spend hours. Have you recognized that pond there at Lower Hamlet in Plum Village? If any of you went there, it was so peaceful. I felt Thay's energy in me that whole hours there. It was so wonderful. And I want to share with you a few observations that I heard about Thay after the strokes, and I want to tell you that Thay's energy shine through his eyes, just like what Thầy Pháp Niệm talked about. It's very clear, very direct. It's wonderful. This is some of the pictures that I'm going to share is from the San Francisco. Let me see if I can do this quickly. Share, and I'm gonna go into full screen there. Full screen. Oh, it jumped up and down too fast. I want to go to this one here first. Okay, so you probably were there when Thay was in San Francisco for the rehab. We coordinated a day that everybody could come. Sister Chen Kong allowed us to do that, so she told us about Thay. So that was the time. But I want to tell you that before that event, I was there with Sister Chen Kong talking about La Boy Book Publishing, which is a Vietnamese book publishing that I helped coordinate it. And I was sitting at that house. Thay came out. I didn't take pictures, of course, but I was so touched. You know that his right hand was paralyzed, his half front body. Then Brother Hui, I believe, who pushed him with a wheelchair out. I just happened to get to see that. And he put up his left hand to greet me, look straight into my eyes. I want to show you, talking about this, I really want to show you his eyes that I thought I'll share later, but there it is. Look at his eyes. Even though after the stroke, his eye was so direct, was so clear, was so concentrated, and he just looked straight at me like that. And Sister Chen Kong asked him, do you remember who I was? And he said, yes, because he shook his head. Another story that I remember about him that I want to tell you this story is to tell you that we are lucky to have Thay in this body for the last 6 years, even though he had a lot of physical pain, but his mind was so clear. Another day I get to go there, work with Parallax Express, and then we got to have lunch with him. He was sitting there eating lunch with a helper from an attendant, but he still used his hand to help feeding himself. And then at the end of the eating, he pointed at some of us. We have some ladies, a couple from LA, and some parallax people and me. And he go like this, you know. The Sister Chen Kong said, "What do you want?" And he goes, and Sister Chen Kong said, "You want your food to them?" That's usually, you know, after he ate, sometimes he gave food to them. He said, "No." So he go like this. Oh, Sister Chen Kong understood him so well. It's amazing. He said, "Oh, you want to know who they are?" Because he knew me and the parallax person, but the couple from LA, I don't think he knew. So Sister Kong Chen told him. So then I asked the story about dear Thai and dear monastics, you know, whoever I talked to said, "How did you know that he wants to go to San Francisco for rehab?" So they told me the story. I can't remember who exactly told me the story, but I think they said something like, Thầy Pháp Linh will research to see where's the best place for rehab and show him pictures of different places, show it in Boston, I believe, and in San Francisco. And he pointed to San Francisco. So that's how it took him there. Another time, when he decided to went to Vietnam, and then he decided, I want to go back to Thailand. He said, at that time, he couldn't speak at all yet, right? I mean, that's what I heard. And so I asked people who close to him again, how did you know that he wants to go back to Thailand 9 days instead of to stay there for a whole month, if you heard the story? And they said, he pointed at Sister, can't remember, somebody forgot her name. She was the nun from Thailand. And he pointed to the sky and pointed to her. So they said, oh, you want to go back to Thailand? He said, yes. So that's the way how he communicated. I understood that during the time that he couldn't speak anymore, they still communicate with him and inform him about different things in the Sangha and stuff. So I want to show you a few of the pictures. This is at the San Francisco one with the monastic, I think just before he left San Francisco. Look at him, right? So loving. And listen to Brother Pháp Niệm stories about how he took care of his students. I can see how these people took care of him. This monastic dedicate their lives to him. I know a couple people like Brother Pháp Quy was there almost the whole time, and Sister Định Nghiêm is the kind of nurse for him, take care of his medicine there the whole time. Sister Thoại Nghiêm is there. Sister Định Nghiêm is, I don't know if I can show you. Can you see that Sister Định Nghiêm that I know? Sister Thoại Nghiêm that I know, and Brother Pháp Khôi that if you listen to the Blue Cliff celebration this morning, he was there. So anyway, oh yeah, here's a sister from Thailand. Suddenly I can't remember her name. my old age come in. Anyway, so this is his eyes. This picture was taken during the time that he was in Hue. I don't remember what time, but here again is Sister Định Nghiêm. She's with him almost all the time. And then this is his teaching that touched my heart. Peace in oneself, peace in the world. That is a picture right into my front door. I really remember that he's teaching through the Buddha's teaching through him. I think we all so appreciative of what his clarity and the way that Brother Pháp Niệm explained how he does it. It just touched my heart and just give me a clearer understanding of how he does things. So I just want to show you this picture was just taken this summer with the monastics in Vietnam. To tell, you see, even though he's weaker, right? But can you see his eyes? Lots of energy. So I just want to tell you, and another story from a close friend of Sister Trân Không from that time in Vietnam, chị Phương Thảo, she told me that as Sister Trân Không told her that Thầy usually have this kind of problem like you heard through the news in the last couple of weeks. During this time, last year, he had one. But after 5 weeks, he recovered fully. And this time, last Saturday, he got the fluid from his lungs removed. So he was much healthier. And then just last Monday, I heard that he started to eat porridge again, or started to practicing, they use the word practicing eating porridge. So I'm so thankful that he's here for the 94th continuous day, continuation day, his birthday. In Vietnamese is 95. So I know that he sacrificed a lot to be in this body, but I also know that because he's here in his body for us for the last 6 years, our monastic community, our whole Sangha in the world are much more stable and solid in his energy, and we can carry on his teaching. We can be the Dharma vessels to keep sharing, keep learning, and keep sharing his teaching from the Buddha time. So I just want to share that few things with you all. And this is a picture that I was there when he went to Vietnam in 2005, landed in Hue. He returned to his root temple to be there because he said, I heard through the news that he wants us to know where our root come from. So I just want to invite a sound of the bell and have us have a silent moment to connect our compassionate heart energy to the Avalokiteshvara and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in 10,000 directions, their compassionate energy, to send that compassionate, healing, strength energy to our dear teacher. He might not need it from us, but Sister Chin Kung always say, with our practice, give him energy. To me, this is one of the practice. So may I invite the sound of the bell, and we'll just say to ourselves, Namo Avalokiteshvara. I have this recording that chant Namo Avalokiteshvara in Vietnamese, but I forgot to bring it in. So let's just think about it, okay? In Vietnamese, we wish that Thầy would have the four elements in him be in harmony to continue to share the Dharma to the world. May Thầy be peaceful in his body. Namo Avalokiteshvara. Thank you, dear friends. Thank you, Mai, for coordinating with us, and I really appreciate your Sugar Plum Sangha, and of course Jonathan too, and Joanne, everybody there that keep it going for us to experience this with you all. Thank you, everyone, and may you all be happy and healthy.
Thank you for your sharing.